Excellencies, distinguished delegates. I stand before you as a young Sudanese woman witnessing my country torn apart by war, a war that didn't begin in April 2023, but has been decades in the making. As the Assistant Secretary General of the Youth Citizens Observers Network, I am here to tell you that Sudanese youth continue to resist, document, and fight for accountability. YCON unites organizations, entities, and resistance committees to monitor the political, security, and humanitarian conditions through field observation. This war is not an isolated tragedy, but a consequence of a global system that profits from the suffering of others. Sudan is not merely at war with itself. It's trapped in a world where nations are exploited, resources are plundered, and warlords are armed in the relentless pursuit of power and profit. While our suffering is met with indifference, the flow of weapons continues unchecked. This war represents the ugliest manifestation of the contradictions of the modern Sudanese state in its intersections with the global system. Between June 2024 and February 2025, Sudan witnessed a surge in violence marked by grave human rights violations and widespread civilian casualties. The Rapid Support Forces stormed villages in Al Jazeera, including Wad al-Noura, Al-Sireha, and Al-Hilaliya, killing and besieging civilians and committed massacres in Al-Junaina. In Al-Sireha, more than 124 people were killed and over 500 injured, while the siege of Al-Hilaliya led to over 300 deaths from mice poisoning. The RSF also shelled Zamzam IDP camp in North Darfur, executed civilians in Al-Gitaina, White Nile by shooting and drowning, and destroyed water and electricity stations in Al-Gadarif, Kassala, and White Nile. Additionally, they engaged in forcible child recruitment, including South Sudanese refugee children, and systematically used rape and gang rape as weapons of war, primarily targeting women and children and girls. Meanwhile, the Sudanese armed forces launched airstrikes and ground assaults, attacking Menego and El Ghebesh village in West Kordofan, bombing civilian areas in Niala, South Darfur, and carrying out executions in Al Jazeera, where victims were slaughtered or thrown alive into the Nile. SAF also conducted indiscriminate airstrikes on civilian neighborhoods and markets, killing and injuring hundreds, with artillery strikes in Al-Ubayyid claiming the lives of multiple children. Both RSF and SAF exchanged accusations over the bombing of Al-Jaili oil refinery in Khartoum. Additionally, the Sudan's People Liberation Movement North, led by Abdelaziz Al-Hilo, launched artillery airstrikes and attacks on Kadugli, South Kordofan, killing dozens of civilians. This war has caused a humanitarian catastrophe, displacing over 20% of the population and depriving 90 million children of education, endangering the entire generation. The healthcare system has collapsed, while hunger has reached catastrophe levels, deepening the crisis. Given these dire circumstances, we demand the following. 1, immediate ceasefire efforts and real political action, not just statements of concern. 2, sanctions on all states and entities supplying arms to the warring parties. 3, humanitarian and civilian protection efforts that are led by and accountable to Sudanese people. 4, concrete action against gender-based violence, including direct support for survivors and justice mechanisms. Finally, an international accountability mechanism to prosecute those responsible of war crimes, including mass killings, sexual violence, and child recruitment. This war will leave permanent scars that may never fully heal, but we will not allow it to define us. We will transform this grief into action and this pain into resistance. Our struggle is not just for survival, it's a vision and a promise of a Sudan outside the conditionalities of violence and war. Sudan stands at a dangerous crossroads. The competing declarations, SAF constitutional amendment, and RSF Sudan founding charter do not offer a path to peace. Instead, they formalize fragmentation, deepen political divides, and normalize war as the status quo. This is no longer just a fight for power. It's a fight over governance itself, where violence dictates authority and civilians bear the cost. But we haven't forgotten. And we will not forget that our demands remain the same: freedom, peace, and justice. There is no war, no armed faction, no internal or external agenda will ever erase that. Thank you.